Pokemon Emerald Mini is a ROM hack I'm working on that takes the Hoenn region and shrinks it down to a miniature scale, like the size of this little nut. You get to experience Pokemon Emerald and its story in a fun, compact version including all the iconic towns, routes, and landmarks in a smaller form factor. So your question might be, what's the point of making a ROM hack like this? Well, as I grew older, my love for Pokemon has never faded away, but I just don't have the time anymore like I used to when I was a kid to enjoy playing the games all the time. The whole point of working on Pokemon Emerald Mini is to make it so we can experience most of the Pokemon Emerald's gameplay, but in a fraction of the time. This will be great if you want to keep playing through Hoenn, but want to try adding different Pokemon to your team, or doing challenges like Nuzlocke and Monotypes. So you also might be wondering how I'm developing this ROM hack. Most of my subscribers know that I've been spending a lot of time with Hex Maniac Advanced, the best Pokemon binary hacking tool that combines the features that used to be in dozens of separate programs we have been using for 2 decades. I always get the question as to why I'm using a hex editing binary hacking tool when decompilations for all the Gen 3 Pokemon games are available. The simple answer is making a decomp hack is a steep learning curve in my opinion, and I like ROM hacking the old school way I'm used to. If the ROM hack doesn't have any features that are too complicated like this mini version of Emerald, it's much more efficient to hack the old school way. Speaking of features, let's dive into what Pokemon Emerald Mini is all about. Like I said earlier, the whole point of Pokemon Emerald Mini is to make it so you can play the whole Emerald experience much quicker. Now, due to the constraints of the small form factor of towns and routes, the game will not feature 100% of Pokemon Emerald's content. For example, some routes are going to be too small to even fit all the trainers and NPCs from the main game, so I'm doing my best to choose as much as I can. When starting out making the maps for the game, I decided to try and make the smaller routes and towns in only a 7x7 tile grid. The design of the towns will have all the buildings in a smaller layout, but you can't actually walk inside the buildings, but the important NPCs will be standing by them. To use the Pokemon Center or shop at the mart, you just talk to the NPC right there from the outside. This also makes the gameplay experience much more efficient, because if you need to quickly heal or stock up on items, it's right there available to you. Now you're also probably noticing this little Porygon 2 next to the nurse. This will be how you access the PC. I got this idea from the amazing Pokemon Unbound ROM hack, where, in some areas of the overworld, you can find a Porygon to access the PC. Now, in terms of making Pokemon Emerald into a mini edition of the game, we have to talk about the cutscenes and story. I've decided pretty quickly that it would be much easier to make my own cutscenes from scratch, especially to fit the tiny landscape that the characters are in. So in the beginning of the hack, I just cut out the whole truck scene and just dropped the player right in Little Root Town. I made a fun little part of the story where your mother is above Route 101 and comes all the way down to greet you. I think the small cutscene with the camera moving through Route 101 and the town is a great way to introduce the character to just how tiny the world is. Your mom also immediately gives you running shoes, and we set the clock right from here since we don't go inside the house. Walking up brings you right to a small version of the Professor Birch and the Zigzagoon where you get your starter Pokemon. I'm not going to go through every little cutscene, but showing you the first 2 gives you an idea of how it looks. Also, most of the dialogue from the NPCs in the regular game is directly copied and pasted into the new mini cutscene, so the story is still authentic to the original. Another quick change to the story I'm making is your rival is now Wally, and the only reason I'm doing this is because scripting is much easier because you have to create much more complicated scripts for having the right gender of the rival appear, as well as the correct starter Pokemon that counters yours. My goal from the beginning was to make this ROM hack as simple as possible for me to develop, so I can create a full version of it much more quickly. Speaking of the simplicity of this ROM hack, there's also no quality of life updates or modern game mechanics like the physical special split, fairy type, Pokemon from the newer gens, and other things you'd see in most modern hacks. Doing this will make the hack much easier for me to develop, while at the same time staying true to the original Pokemon Emerald experience. Now you also might be wondering if there's any kind of challenge to this ROM hack. The quick answer is no, but there is one thing I decided to do that will make the gyms a little harder. Since the game is mini, and you won't be able to walk inside most buildings, the gym challenge now involves you walking right up to the gym leader who starts the gym challenge by making you battle all the trainers in a row before facing the leader. I think this is cool because you can battle through the gym much more quickly, but having all of them back to back in a similar style to the Windstraight family in Route 111, which is pretty cool in my opinion. Now of course, much later in the game, the gyms feature a much larger amount of trainers that might make this process long and boring, so I'm probably going to cut some of the trainers or combine the teams of multiple trainers into one. I've only hacked up to the first gym so far in Rustboro City, which only features 3 trainers, so we'll see what I decide to do as I move on. Well guys, that's mostly it so far. I developed this game all the way up to the first gym and a little bit after, but I still got quite some work ahead for me for this to be fully finished. Pokemon Emerald Mini is also kind of a side ROM hacking project, while my main project for this channel is Cratitopia, my challenge ROM hack that features Pokemon from all 9 gens and the modern game mechanics. I would like to release a version of Pokemon Emerald Mini soon. Maybe I'll hack it up to the 3rd gym or so for a demo version so you guys can download it and try it for yourself. But just let me know in the comments how much you're interested in this ROM hack. I also plan on making more videos and shorts of Pokemon Emerald Mini, maybe going over a little more in-depth on the scripting and mapping the scaled-down version of Hoenn, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you're new here, I recommend hitting that subscribe button to stay updated on my Pokemon ROM hacking videos. I'll see you guys in the next one.